Hi everyone. So now we're going to talk about chapter 26, nursing research, data collection, processing, and analysis. So information literacy. Information literacy enables us to effectively acquire, evaluate, and use information. And there's so much information. The sheer quantity of information does not by itself create a more informed citizen, right? You need to have the complementary abilities to use the information effectively. And most significantly, information literacy forms the basis for your lifelong learning. And it serves as a commonality among all learning environment, discipline, and levels of education. So it's really important for critical reasoning and discernment. So objectives for this chapter is describing nursing research in relation to foundation of the knowledge model, exploring the acquisition of previous knowledge to the internet and library holdings, exploring information fair use and copyright restrictions, assessing informatics tools for collecting data and storage of information, and comparing tools for processing and analyzing quantitative and qualitative data. And so don't forget, I mean, you can't believe everything you read. You need to make sure what you're reading is accurate and then how to use that information. So acquiring previous knowledge through internet library holders. So really quick, characteristics of information literate, okay? The foundation of knowledge model suggests that most important aspects of information discovery, retrieval, and delivery is the ability to actually acquire that information, process it, generate it, and then disseminate it, which means to spread it. And doing it in ways that help manage the knowledge so that you can reevaluate it and rethink the way they understand what you found out and use what you learned. So these goals reflect what's called the Information Literacy Competency Standards for Higher Education. And this was done in response to changing perception of how information is created, evaluated, and used. So according to the ALA, which is the American Library Association, who created the Literacy Competency Standard for Higher Education, an information literate individual is able to do the following. So determine the extent of what information is needed, right? Access the needed information effectively and efficiently. So you're not taking 20 hours finding, 4 articles. Learning how to evaluate the information and its sources critically, which, when you talk about like the Iowa model of evaluation or the John Hopkins, making sure that you can evaluate evidence. Incorporate selected information into one's knowledge base. So you find new information, and then how are you going to incorporate it? Where is that going to fit? And then using it effectively to accomplish a specific purpose. And then understanding the economic, legal, and social issues surrounding the use of information, access, and use information ethically and legally. Information literacy is an intellectual framework for finding, understanding, evaluating, and using information. So activities are accomplished in part with our fluency for technology and also our way that we investigate, but also through our critical reasoning. Information literacy initiates, sustains, and extends lifelong learning through abilities that may use technology but are really independent on themselves. Okay, so nursing informatics combines 4 nursing practice areas: clinical, research, administration, education, and the ability to recognize the need for a specific kind of information and then to be able to locate, evaluate, and effectively use that information within the nursing informatic environment is going to catapult you ahead of other healthcare professionals, okay? So not many nurses have formal training on technology and how to research properly. That's why I have that mesh lecture that I gave you guys. So acquiring previously gained knowledge through internet and library holdings. And you might be like, oh my God, Denise, I know how to do a Google search, but it takes more, right? I taught you guys about mesh terms. I taught you about Boolean phrases, and other databases use different ways. But we have so many ways to get information. right? We have um, venues, libraries, special interests, media, community resources, Facebook with unfiltered formats. Healthcare practitioners will have to question authenticity, validity, and reliability of information, right? We have so much access at our fingertips, and there's so much information, and there's not a filter. Hashtag fake news, right? So often, the retrieval of reliable research and information can be daunting and often done wrong. So focusing on specific information venues will not only aid you in searching, but also assist in negotiating endless maze of resources and how to evaluate those resources. So allow you as a nurse practitioner to find the best and most accurate information efficiently. So one thing to talk about are professional online databases, okay? So CINAHL and Medline are really good ones for nursing and allied health. I also use UpToDate in the advanced practice setting. So CINAHL specifically includes information for aspects of allied health, nursing, alternative medicine, and community medicine, and Medline database contains references from more than 22 million journals on the National Library of Medicine, which I showed you with PubMed. Professional databases represent a source of online information that's generally invisible to all internet users except those who have affiliation to get in. And that's good because you don't necessarily want certain articles being accessible to the public because they won't know what to do with that information. And it can cause more harm than good, as we see all the time on the internet. One thing I want to mention, so search support. Libraries that have subscriptions to databases have library professionals, and we have those. And I've talked to you guys about using your library. Hold on, let me take a sip of water. And utilizing the librarian. Librarians are really helpful in helping you sift through all the electronic information and teaching you how to research. There is not enough time in any class that we give you, and even within the research class, not even enough time to really show you how to do a good, thorough database search with your Boolean phrases and all that stuff, and then measuring the level of evidence. That's usually, we give you 30 minutes, and a librarian will reinforce that with you over and over again. So, I never really realized how helpful it was to utilize the library professionals until I got to graduate school, and then I realized they are my best friends, and they know me by name at all the libraries, and I call all the time. In fact, I'm sure they're excited for me to graduate. And then on websites, there's usually tutorials on searching practices. So I gave you guys that mesh term tutorial. There are other ones that are probably better than the one I gave you on how to use EBSCO, to search CINAHL, etc. Okay. So I want to talk about search engines. Search engines are great, right? Like Google it. We love Google. Although some computers try to force you to use Bing and it irritates me. But search engines let you surf the web. There's it pulls up key phrases. Many researchers will steer clear of search engines because you're going to get so much and some of it's unsubstantiated. You don't know if it's going to be peer reviewed. It does sometimes, there's some legitimacy to using one. I mean, sometimes a Google search can at least help you identify themes, but there's really no legitimacy needs to be provided for any of these, for any websites that you can get through a search engine. So you have to be really careful. And I have posted different tutorials on how to make sure, it's a valid website. So despite the pitfalls associated with search engines in general, they can yield a bounty of useful information when used with discretion. So search engines produce different results when used for the same research. For example, one popular search engine ranks its results by number of hits. So that's Google. They're not allowed to mention it, but that's Google. So whereas the most popular research results are likely to be relevant in order in which results appear, don't indicate quality or viability of the source, more in popularity. So if something's trending and you start to type in that word, it's going to pop up faster. So if you're looking for, I'm trying to think of a really good example of this. If you are looking for Who is on the news right now? Elon Musk is on the news. So you type in Elon Musk is going to pop up first, but you might be looking for Elon College in North Carolina. So just remember, databases kind of range things differently, these search engines. And then you also have to, you can't blindly trust information found on a web page. So you need to look at the date. How recent is it? Is it 2009? Well, if it's 2009 on a live time website, it's probably behind the times. Is there contact information? Do they use a reference page? Do they have links to external sources and are they relevant? Do they work? And then previously attained knowledge from other reputable sources. So is this information too unbelievable? Some places have fees, and then there's something called site domains. So looking at the suffix .com, .edu, .org, .gov. Now you can pay for some of those, and that doesn't give a site legitimacy.